Is video gaming having a negative impact on our children and adolescents in the world today? Today, I would like to inform you of some alarming information about video games and their links to violence. According to the American Academy of Child, Adolescents, and Psychiatry on June 2015, playing video games has become a very popular amongst people of all ages. Video gaming is a multi-billionaire industry. It's bringing in more money than videos, DVDs and TV. On an average, girls play the video games about 1 hour a day. Boys play even more. They play 2 hours a day. Teens often spend more time than younger children. Video games have become very sophisticated and very realistic. Some games connect to the internet, which can allow children and adolescents to play games and have discussions with adults and other peers. While some games can be very educational and have good contents, many or most emphasize on negative themes, and they promote different kinds of violence, such as the killing of people and animals, the use of drugs, alcohol, abuse, criminal behavior, disrespect of authority and law, sexual exploitation, and violence towards women. They use racial and sexual innuendos. They have foul language and obscene gestures. Studies of children exposed to violence through media have shown that people have become numb to violence. They imitate violence. They show more aggression and behavior. Younger children and those with emotional behaviors and learning problems are more influenced by these violent images. In moderation, playing age-appropriate games can be enjoyable and healthy. Some video games may even promote learning and problem solving and help with things such as motor skills and coordination. However, there are concerns about the effects that video games do have on the young people who are playing these video games excessively. Children and adolescents can become overly involved in video games. They may have difficulty controlling the amount of time they play. They may resist their parents when their parents say no, or they attempt to limit their time playing these video games. Spending a lot of time or excessive time playing these video games do things such as they lessen the time that you're socializing with friends and family. They lead to things like poor social skills, time away from family, time away from schoolwork, and doing other hobbies such as riding bikes, coloring, painting, singing, whatever that is. They lower your grades. You do less reading, less exercise and movement, which leads to becoming overweight, decreased sleep, poor quality of sleep, and aggressive thoughts and behavior. In an article in PBS by Brandon Keim, February 13th, he says, it's a bloodfest. It's also, at least amongst us journalists, watching a YouTube video walkthrough. Glorious fun, a well-designed piece of action hero, arcade, blockbuster thumb candy. Yet for those very same reasons, it's so appealing to our children nowadays, and it's difficult not to be troubled. It's possible, even likely, that so much vicarious slaughter even bleeds into the psyches of at least some of those children's minds as they're playing these games. What happened to children and adolescents going outside and playing in the backyard, riding bicycles, building forts, doing things that we did when we were kids? In an article in Sutter Health, author Andrea Norcia, November 2014, children and teens today are inundated with electronic media. Kids have grown up with the access of cell phones, computers, iPads, and all too often, violent video games. A survey of 1,102 adolescents found that 97% had played video games in the past day. Although most parents checked the censoring rates before allowing their children to purchase it, 50% of boys and 14% of girls favored games with the M, which means mature, or the AO for adult-only ratings, which implies high degrees of violence. This is a cause for concern. Research has long shown the cause and effect relationship between television violence and aggression among children and youth who watch it. Many social scientists expert video games to have an even greater impact for the following reasons. Children are more likely to imitate actions from these action characters who they identify with. In violent video games, players participate as a character and even choose which weapon they are going to use while fighting other characters. Video games, by nature, are required active participation rather than passive observation. Repetition increases learning. Video games involve a great deal of repetition. In these games, if these games are violent, the effect of this behavior rehearsals for violent activity amongst our teens. Rewards increase learning, and video games are based on a reward system. Early research confirms that those concerns. A 2004 study by Gentile Lynch, Linder, and Walsh found that teens who play violent video games for extended periods of time, they tend to be more aggressive. They engage in fights with their peers. Violence in society, of course, is not solely caused by violent media, but research does show that the continuous exposure to violent media causes people to believe that violence can be acceptable, positive way to solve problems. We will continue as concerned parents, teachers, and citizens to collaborate with others to gather information on these issues of video games and children and adolescents. The fine points of video games and this matter will continue to be debated for years to come. Just to wrap this up, I hope that you all found this very informative and helpful, and thank you for coming today.